What is Celebrate Men? We have a nonprofit organization called Celebrate Me. We celebrate what's called the everyday extraordinary. Who is the everyday extraordinary? It's everyone on this call and others who have achieved amazing things in life. You've authored a book, earned a degree, bought a new home, overcame a difficulty. You are a good father, a good mother, great friend. These are things we don't think about celebrating, but they are very important to the fabric of society. Every single contribution, achievement, moment of resilience, things we've overcome, those are all extraordinary things. They all add up to the goodness in our lives, but it also impacts others in society. It came from a trip I took to India over 10 years ago. I had a moment in my dream where I felt like God was saying to me, "You're not celebrating anything." I was taking all of these precious jewels and things that were the fabric of my life and shoving them into this rusty grocery cart. It was like, this is what you're doing with your life. You're just collecting accomplishments and not celebrating anything. And so after that, I decided I can't be so hard on myself that I'm just collecting things and not appreciating the hard work that went into it and appreciating others for helping me on that journey. Here we are today, not only celebrating the everyday extraordinary, but today we're celebrating everyday extraordinary men.
The idea of celebrating men might be an odd one in today's moment. Celebrating men is a good way to start a volatile discussion.
For me, it's important to celebrate men just for the mere fact that we can. There's no rule that says you can't or how often you should.
Celebration and recognizing people is not a cookie cutter approach. You can't take what one person recognizes as a good celebration or wants to another person. It absolutely has to be customized and specific. Respect is more important for him than celebration. From my perspective, every man is deserving of celebration. Every man is deserving of respect.
He came back into my life at that time to apologize. When a man acknowledges his faults, that's deserving. Any person who's willing to say, regardless of what you did or didn't do, I'm acknowledging what I did or said. And I think that's so important.
So the man who was slightly abusive, he didn't choke anybody out and murder anybody, but he was regularly abusive. He put his hands on his kids too much and his lady, right? And he comes back and says, you know what? Sorry about that. Trying to be a better dude, right? Versus the guy who never did that. And he comes back and says, hey, y'all, I know I'm not the best father in the world, trying to be a better dude, right? Is what you're saying that one is no more or less deserving than the other. I say it in the context of James's sort of male mind, right? I have measurements. And like, dude, you are not as good as him. You're not as good a man as this man. You shouldn't have put your hands on her, and if somebody's put their hands on you, that's what you really need.
One thought that I did have was celebrating each other doesn't have to be about accomplishments. We need to broaden the definition of celebration. We also need to broaden the definition of manhood, the definition of womanhood. I think we're operating within the confines of some definitions that I think are limiting our ability to see each other in different ways.
I think that celebration should happen before, during, and after. Celebrating the now for what you hope to aspire to gives them something to hold on to keep going. Oftentimes we think there has to be this versus stance that you can't celebrate you and celebrate others at the same time. It's just recognizing how can they coexist? How can they live together?
I feel like the divide is getting so wide in our community, in society, and in the village. The village is sick, y'all. And where's the village doctor when it comes to celebrating. I don't think men have enough safe spaces to celebrate the way that they want.
Am I open to it? Yes, but I don't know that I trust you. Because of what our panelists said before, that when it's going badly, it cuts, right? It is not just that this celebration didn't go well, it cut me, it gutted me. I got to put on this tuxedo and I got to shave and smell nice and whatever else. I don't know what's going to go well.
I think we've absolutely got to hear when people say they want X, believe them. And it's okay.
I can celebrate intention and be annoyed at the outcome. Right. Now I've got a story to talk about you when we celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary. And you bought me some clothes that didn't even bother to fit. You didn't even know my pant sizes, got me running around in my little brother's shorts looking crazy.
It took a while for my husband to accept. I've been married for 22 years, but it took a while for my husband to even want me to celebrate. And we did nothing for a long time.
I want to buy her a little investment portfolio. Like, here's some stuff that I can put into your 401k, a little portfolio of some stocks, because financial security or financial education is important to me to give to you.
When we want to appreciate someone else, we've got to turn that off. We have to figure out how to rewire our brains so that we can hear, acknowledge, and then meet the need of that person.
How do you deal, or you mentioned selfishness. I think about it in a broader context of women that say, well, I'm not selfish. I'm just displaying self-care or self-autonomy. And I've been beaten down by the patriarchy. And I just need to celebrate me because women have been downtrodden for so long. How would you encourage women to shift and look at it as being selfishness as opposed to self-celebratory?
A lot of it has looked very different than how we celebrate women. But I think that also is undergirded by the fact that men recognize and need to be acknowledged differently than women oftentimes. So we use the word celebrate, but I'm not even sure that celebrate is a word that men would use or want. It feels more of a feminine word. That's how we women see the world, and we want to be celebrated. But I think because of the vast difference between men and women and how we're wired and how we've been shaped, the quiet recognition for a man means a lot more than the grandiose parties or gestures. That's important to recognize the difference. We've been together 22 years. I'm still figuring out what he likes and how he would like to be acknowledged. He's like, celebration? No, I don't need that. I need you to respect me. Respect is more important for him than celebration.
I grew up with an absent father. I knew who my father was, pick him out in the street, but that was my dad passing by, not actively present in my life. I knew where to go if I needed to reach him. I knew where his side of the family lived, hence Ariel and I as cousins hanging out together. That was all the way up till I was about 16 years old. He came back into my life at that time to apologize for not being around. At 16, as an emotional teenager, I made him suffer for his abandonment. His apology was met with indignation. How dare you come and apologize? What about the 16 years before you weren't there? No, I was very much stuck at that time in what I didn't have. Couldn't see what he was doing in the moment, which was acknowledging his failure, acknowledging a missed opportunity that he had to be in my life up until that point. He was searching for acceptance that I was unwilling to give him. I definitely closed that door so tightly that even now, in our connection with one another, it's still not what I would want it to be, and I'm sure what he would want it to be.
Oftentimes we think there has to be this versus stance that you can't celebrate you and celebrate others at the same time. They're not juxtaposed against each other. It's just recognizing how can they coexist? How can they live together?
In today's moment, men are struggling in a variety of ways. And particularly those men who are regular, everyday, extraordinary guys, as was mentioned in the outset, that are doing their best to love their families, earn a wage that supports themselves and those that they're responsible for, and just take the necessary steps to exist in today's disruptive environment. From college-going rates, where there's less and less men headed off to college, to the graduation rates. Both in high school and in college, the numbers for men are approaching dismal at best. There's men seeking mental health. The numbers of them is skyrocketing. Yet much of the therapy at present doesn't seem focused on developing masculinity in a meaningful way. The church or religion may not be the place where many men are participating in the large numbers they used to, or at least by percentage. It may be no longer a place where men seem to have faith in what's being taught or a role model. Ironically, though, most men still find a relationship with God.
I think sometimes, maybe, men don't really know what they want. They don't know how they want to be celebrated. The first time we had Celebrate Men, I had a lot of men from our church on the committee, and we started talking about, okay, we want to do Celebrate Men. It was the first ever, we've never done it before.
I do lean more on the side that, we're just creatures of different habits, interests. And I think we walk through this life trying to align as best as we can, especially when we are in relationships with women, our mothers, aunts, and daughters. I think we try to do our best to align, but we are creatures of different. The work and the love, but at times the conflict, a lot of it is based on just how we're wired so different.
My own personal story of having Celebrate Men came from a place of, they don't need to be celebrated. But as we dug a little deeper into what men actually have to put up with and the different challenges, I definitely discovered a newfound appreciation for just everything that you go through